All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Heart and Hustle podcast. Today I've got John Watkins with me, who is going to be giving us a better understanding of everything that you do from a hustle perspective. You know, ever since I've known you, you've been doing so much different stuff. And over the last couple of, years, you've been getting into trading?
2 years, yeah, about almost 4 now. 3.5, 4.
So why don't you give everybody a little bit of background about you and kind of, your passion for trading, but more importantly, all the stuff that you're doing from a hustle perspective. What does that look like?
I've always had the entrepreneurial mindset. And then, I went to college, and then I was kind of doing pre-law, thought about going to law school, got into music.
Yeah.
Right? I played guitar, put an album out, kind of went down that path. I always had the entrepreneurial spirit. And then I've always kind of dabbled in the stock market, but never really got super into it. And I was kind of born out of COVID. So I was looking into drop shipping because I'd saved up some money, and I'm like, I have money now. I want to do something with it.
Yeah.
That's going to be beneficial. And I was looking at drop shipping, and then COVID happened. And for the first 4...
You were thinking about doing drop shipping before COVID?
Yeah. It was January.
Oh, wow.
I was looking into just what can I do e-commerce business wise. And then COVID hit, and for the first 4 or 5 days, and I was just working valet at the time.
Yeah.
A job in Vegas. And I think I went and got some edibles, and I played Call of Duty for 3 or 4 days. And I was kind of looking at stocks and stuff because obviously that was the talk of the town. And funny enough, someone at my job was talking about options. He's I'm getting puts. I'm like, what's a put?
Yeah.
So 3 days I'm playing Call of Duty. I'm like, wait a second. I'm never going to have this opportunity again. I have unlimited money because they were giving out money and
literally unlimited money.
Unemployment, whatever. Yeah, literally. I have unlimited money and I have unlimited time. And those are the two things that people always struggle with. Either not enough money, too much time, too much money, not enough time. I have both. I got to use this to my advantage because who knows when this will happen. Probably never again. Yeah. So, and I started looking at stocks, and then I started getting into it, and I just went full in, and I was doing the entire day, 8-10 hours, just learning about it. Wow. Getting up at 6 a.m. And the first couple mornings were tough because I was kind of a night owl, but it got easier. And now, I get up at 6 a.m. whether I have an alarm or not. My body just
wakes up
at 6. So I kind of fast-tracked my progress in that sense because I got to spend so many hours in the first 6 months, and I had nothing else to do but learn about the stock market. It was that or sit on the couch and stare into the ceiling.
Right. And you can literally only play video games for so many days.
Yeah, I played a little bit on Saturday nights to unwind because my brain was mush from learning everything. Yeah. But I just stuck with it, and I just spent the last few years just gunning it out, and then now I get up at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday and put my money to work.
There you go. One of the biggest things that I think about is the pandemic especially kind of created the awareness around becoming a trader. And I feel there was almost a, what's it called? Robin Hood, right? Yeah. Robin Hood popped up, and then all of a sudden everybody became knowledgeable. Everybody was trading. Everybody was doing all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Was that kind of your first touch, or that guy who you were talking to was I'm doing puts?
Yeah, I didn't know about options. Now I teach options. Now I'm option fluent. I know everything about them. Yeah. But I didn't know what they were at that time, but I learned about them. But I started with Robinhood, and I got in TD Ameritrade and Thinkorswim. I don't use Robinhood anymore, but a lot of traders were born during that time, and I think very few of us that were born in that time are still here today or into it as much as I am. I think very few do it as much as I do. I think a lot of people kind of went back to work, or they got burned and they quit, or they still do both, which I think you should do. And my mentor and someone that I met that taught me was high up in a cybersecurity company. He would fly around the world and do conferences, and he traded full time in addition to his career. Okay. So, which is the whole point of trading. And my mindset in the beginning was cool, I want to be a full-time trader so I don't have to work. And now I'm I want a full-time trade, and it's giving me freedom and opportunity and money. I want to go work harder and into many other aspects and do more. Yeah. So it started out as this kind of lazy concept of I'll have free time, I can trade for a few hours and then go do whatever I want all day. Now I'm no, I want to utilize my time and do more.
Where do you think that that mentality of the hustle comes from when you're I just wanted to do more? Because I know that a lot of people want that instantaneous trade. If I don't have to go to my job anymore, I can trade a couple hours a day, but that's not exactly fulfilling. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it might be for some people, but it gets boring because you get up at 6 a.m. every day now, and trading taught me habit and patience too. But you get up, I might be down at like 7, 8, 9, 10 a.m. depending, and it's like, now what?
Yeah.
And it's just, it feels like, and I'm 30 now. It's like, I don't need to be retired.
Yeah.
I don't need to like just do nothing the rest of my day. I just feel like I can do more, and I'm going to be able to elevate my life higher if I utilize that time to do more. And trading taught me that, and taught me about having habits and having patience, and sort of, you always want to scale up with your trading. You might start out with like $1,000 account or a $5,000 account, but the goal is to always increase your account size and make more and more money. It's not to just be content like, oh, I can make $200 a day, so I'm going to do that forever. It's like, no one wants to do that. So if you're older, like maybe if you're like 50, 60, 70s, retired, that might be more appealing. But for me, I feel like if I can start businesses and expand and do other things in addition to the trading knowledge that I have, it's going to be more beneficial to my long term.
And do you think like the trading, the habits and the patience that you've been able to establish through trading has kind of given you a vision for other avenues of business that you want to go into? Do you know what I'm saying? And building something that is long term. Maybe it's not so instantaneously gratifying.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It takes time to build.
Everything takes time. Trading takes time. People will ask me like now, like, John, can you teach me how to trade? Because they see what I'm doing, and I'm like, I can, but you're not going to make money for the next year. In fact, you're probably going to lose money. You still want to learn. And they're like, well, and I'm like, maybe you should just invest and just. And they're like, I should probably invest. I'm like, you should probably invest because you're not going to lose that way.
Yeah.
But it's like anything. If you go to college into any field, you're going to spend a bunch of time doing it, and you're going to make no money. You're going to lose money because it costs money to go to college. If you want to learn how to trade, you're going to make no money in the beginning. You're going to lose money because it costs money. And then over time, you will figure it out and start making money. And it's just like if you graduate college, you could be at the top of your class. You get hired in that firm or wherever you are. Now you're at the bottom again.
Yeah.
And you're going to work your way up to start making the big bucks. So it's like anything in life. But because it's such an instant gratification, anybody can download Robinhood, put money in an account, and make money instantly.
Yeah.
That accessibility is what tricks people, because they treat it like gambling, or they think they can just go in and like read a couple articles, watch a few YouTube videos, and then start making the big bucks. It's like, if you want to commit to being consistent, you have to have the patience to learn how to do it and to go through these psychological factors that are come into it, and learn how to actually take your money, recognize what the market is giving you, and make effective decisions and control your emotions. That's the biggest thing. Because a lot of people, and I read about this in a trading book by Mark Douglas, came out in the 80s, Trading in the Zone. He worked with a lot of traders and people that were retiring in their 50s, 60s, that were very smart and professionals in their field, doctors, lawyers, engineers, mathematicians. They'd go into trading and they would lose.
Humbled.
Because it's a psychological factor that people struggle with. It doesn't take that long to learn how to read moving averages and how to identify price levels and draw in zones. You can learn that stuff in a few weeks, a few months, right? Like, I can teach you how to hit a baseball, but are you going to be able to play in the big leagues?
Touché. That's a great example.
Yeah, that's the concept, and that's what I try and tell people that I help teach or help learn. Or they ask me, like, it's going to take time. You have to commit to it. Guitar playing. I sat there in the summer, boring, mundane. And a lot of that too came from learning how to play guitar, because just super mundane, boring. Didn't think I could ever like do Eddie Van Halen stuff. Now I can.
Yeah.
After years and years and years. And then it becomes fun and it's cool and you're glad you did it. Same thing with trading. You got to sit there and stare at a screen hours every day. You might not make any money, might not take any trades, but you have to like learn. And it's that process that'll get you from A to B. And that's with anything with life. But because it's so instantly accessible, people get trapped up.
Yeah, man, that's the biggest thing that I worry about, because like we saw the Robin Hoodification of finances, which I thought was very interesting. But more importantly, I think what we saw was a lot of people kind of instantly got into it because they wanted that quick buck. And maybe that's why so many people haven't survived the winter, right, that we've kind of just entered into or gone through, because they still want the return that they're looking for, maybe at the peak when they first got in, but they're chasing that dragon. Right?
Yeah, and a lot of, like, I traded GameStop. I made a little bit of money. Didn't go crazy on it. But my whole mindset when I started was to learn how to do this effectively. So I wasn't trying to, the first several months, I was just trying to figure it out. I wasn't even trying to make a lot of money. I was actually using a very small amount of money in my trading and using like sim to learn how to do it.
What is sim?
Simulations. It's called paper trading.
Okay,
so you trade the actual real market as it moves, but in a fake account. So you can
practice.
So the money you make doesn't exist. The money you lose doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But if you make mistakes, it doesn't wreck you. If you lose $1,000 being stupid, you learn from it and you don't have that actual loss.
Yeah.
Which is, everyone should start that way. Some people put money in Robinhood and start buying GameStop, And I remember the Twitter, everyone's talking about it.
Dude, that shit was fucking wild.
In 2021, I still remember this girl tweeted, it was like February, March. This was like after the meme stock bubble burst.
Yeah.
And the tweet was, "This trading thing is hard." And it's like, that's the arc of, everyone's excited about it, and then it bursts, and then reality sets in. Gosh. And
dude, those were just like crazy times. I remember being in Hawaii at that time and like looking at all the stories and listening to the hedge funds just get absolutely squeezed.
I traded the whole thing real time too. And
did you?
Yeah, I made like 1,500 on it. I got some options on AMC.
Yeah.
I just saw them coming in.
AMC.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This was like before AMC had popped. I got it like on Monday, and I think I paid like 100 or like $50. I got like a couple of them, and like Wednesday it like ran up, and it popped up.
Yeah.
And I remember that day because it was like the crescendo. Like Nokia was running. We all I was in this trading room, and we were all like loaded in, like ready to fucking go,
dude,
baby.
The environment must have just been intense.
The adrenaline I had that whole week. I didn't get any sleep. I wasn't tired either. I was getting like 4 hours a night, and I was not tired. It was crazy because it was like I have Twitter notifications on certain like stock sites, so I get like any news updates, and they were just going wild. And like everyone was talking about it, and then it was like I woke up that morning and Robinhood had turned off the buying.
So what was your 2 cents on that whole situation? You know what I mean? Everybody's got an opinion about that, but like, what does the institution do, or what situation do they get themselves into where they have to turn off the buy button?
It's a total scam, and there's a documentary on GameStop on HBO which explains it very well, but. The Robinhood was owned by, I forget the name. It's like
Citadel.
Yeah. Citadel was the higher one. And you had, Melvin was a subsidiary of them. Essentially, the conspiracy is that Citadel told Robinhood to shut off the buying because their assets would be at risk. And what Robinhood's excuse was the DTCC, which is the Depository Trade Commission Corps, which they handle all the routing of options and their trading, and When you execute a trade, it goes to like a third party,
right?
And they make the trade whole.
Yeah, can you break down kind of like the business model of Robinhood in themselves for the people who are listening who are like, I've heard of Robinhood, but I don't know how they make money. I'm not
super like educated on all the nuances of it.
Yeah,
but they were the first ones to come up with like commission-free trading, which is what a lot of the brokers offer now. Because like the market makers, which make the market, they provide liquidity for it. They make money off the bid offer spread. Yeah. So like if Apple is trading at $160.10, and then like that's the ask, and then the bid is $160.02. There's an 8 cents difference, and like that 8 cents or 2 cents or 3 cents or 1 cent, they make that over like thousands and thousands of transactions or millions of transactions. That's how they make their money. But Robinhood essentially made money off of the movement of their stocks, I guess. And then they were owned by Citadel. So they provided that commission-free environment, and you would put money into Robinhood, and of course that's like a bank in a sense. So, and they have certain deposit allowances. They have to have a certain amount of margin in the account to make sure that they can make everything whole. So basically what they said is the DTCC came in and said they upped their margin like 3-fold or 10-fold or something, and basically said, if you guys need to put up more money, or we can't make your trades whole. So would put out all of Robinhood's customers at risk. So they shut off you can sell, but you can't buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's going to buy. So it's a very likely story. But I think at the end of the day, I always tell people there's like a trillion or trillions of dollars traded every day in the market. When you're dealing with billions and trillions, I can cuss on here, right?
Yeah.
There's no fucking way. I already did. There's no fucking way they leave billions and trillions of dollars up to chance.
No way. No shot.
There's no, we got billions on the deck. See what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope it works out.
Yeah.
They have the hedge funds and the guys on Wall Street and the banks, they have the smartest mathematicians and finance guys figuring out how to price financial models, financial instruments. They have math that price in a future price of something that hasn't got there yet in a supply and demand market. It's insane. I watched a video on YouTube. This guy was talking. He was like a mathematician. His voice was scrambled. You never saw his face.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to know.
He was leaking straight alpha to everybody.
Just to kind of explaining like just, how he helped price things.
Yeah.
But he's just a mathematician guy that made a lot of money working for funds, but he's still no face, no voice. Because they have the smartest people to figure all this out for a reason. You have high frequency trading, you have computers that are trading, and you have different things. It's called spoofing. They'll put out fake orders and try and get people to buy. Because at the end of the day, the everyday trader, the everyday American who trades, that provides liquidity for institutions. Institutions are the only ones that can move price. They can move shares large enough. Yeah. You and me buying 100 shares doesn't do anything.
Right.
But putting in millions or billions of dollars into stocks can move price. And they need someone to buy to and sell from, and that is everyone else. Yeah. That's why Jim Cramer's always wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
The inverse Cramer ETF.
It's very interesting to me that we kind of live in a space where everybody's playing on the same field, but you've got David and you've got Goliath, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we're all moving and playing in the same game, but like the retail trader as it's known today doesn't have as much influence as, I think they do. And often I feel like the mindset with a retail trader, somebody who's just like in the open market, is like, these guys are out to get me. You know what I'm saying? Like you and I have spoken about that privately, like in the gym. And I think that's such an interesting mindset that comes along with it as well. It's almost like I'm a victim of the system that I'm playing in.
Yeah, and I don't think that the hedge funds and institutions lost in that one. Maybe a couple of them blew up and like those firms lost, but those guys, they lose their business. They still got money. They have houses. Like the individual, Melvin at Melvin Capital, that guy is not on the street with a coin. He's still driving Ferraris and doing all that stuff. He doesn't own a firm anymore. He's got a mom and pop shop that does investing. Yeah. Who knows? Or he got hired by somebody else. And they control it lives in a vacuum, right? The government doesn't come in and design financial products. Banks do. Right. They generate, what does a mortgage come from? The government didn't make a mortgage, a bank did. Yeah. They said, hey, we'll give you a mortgage and you pay us interest. And you can have a house. Yeah. Okay.
Right. I mean, I heard, I'm a separate subject here, but I heard Grant Cardone one time talking about kind of how the banks have structured the American dream. He was like, when everybody was coming back from World War II and everybody had a surplus of cash, the bank needed a mechanism that they could start loaning money out against. And so they're like, everybody has the American dream and everybody should own a home. But the only way to own a home is to come to us and get a loan. You know what I'm saying? So it's like very interesting how some of the puppeteers in society kind of navigate and negotiate these strings on us. But like we all just kind of buy into it because it's what everybody else is doing.
I did the math like literally like a month ago with my buddy. We're on the phone talking about like, buying houses and stuff. We did the math like at the interest rate like 6%. And we did it like 3 times, and what came down to it is like on a 30-year loan, like if let's say your loan's $200,000 after your down payment, like you're paying $200,000 your loan over 30 years, you literally will pay like $212,000 in interest over that 30 years. And if it's 15 years, you pay $100,000. So all the mortgage is a way for a bank to literally double its investment if you do a 30-year, or get a 50% return if you do a 15-year, guaranteed, double their money 30 years, because like this is how the financial crisis happened. No one's going to default on their mortgage. That's their home.
Oh my God.
And people still won't. And I think it's the next crisis probably won't be a mortgage housing crisis. Yeah. But it's totally, the banks, all they do is figure out how to make financial instruments, and you can't control it because they designed it. It's just 2 people saying, hey, I'll create this swap and this thing and swap it to you, and you give me this money, and it's legal. Yeah. And banks break the law, and they talked about it in the GameStop documentary, but they might, do some shiesty trading, make $4 million and get fined $200,000.
Yeah, you're like, okay, sorry.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah, sorry.
It's like you made $80 million and you had to pay. If you had to pay $8 million, even if you pay $8 million in fines, you made $72 million. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
It's like, that's why it's the wild west, because a fine from the SEC for these banks is just a cost.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, I think it was the GameStop documentary where I saw that they were like, these type of things are modeled in. Do you know what I'm saying? We model in the fees to see how much we're going to have to pay out for creating an instrument like this, positioning it, and then getting slapped on the wrist. I mean, like, sorry, here's your $200,000 or here's your $4 million.
And there is such a thing as too big to fail. You have these banks like SVB and then banking or failing, and the government didn't bail them out this time, but they stepped in and they swap their debt out, and then another bank absorbs them. And those are bad bets, but they just make a bunch of bets and they make a ton of money. And then every now and then a bank makes too bad of a bet. It comes back to bite them in the dust, but they just get moved into other entities and they get absorbed by customers that can have it. It's no different than like the Fountain Blue sitting dormant and then here in Vegas, and then one of the casino conglomerates picks it up.
Dude, I mean,
or holds on to it until they can do something with it and they find buyers. I mean, it's money is always moving and it's either absorbed or transferred.
Yeah.
No matter the scale.
Man, that's so true. Because it's like we've seen, I mean, it's just very interesting to me, the American culture. It's like we've seen these issues before, right? If the one thing I've recognized about getting older is you start to recognize patterns, right? The economy goes up, the economy goes down. When you're younger, you're like, oh my God, the world's falling down. And everybody's like, oh, the world. But now that you're older, it's like, this feels a lot like what we once did. And
it's
I feel
exactly like the stock market too.
It's crazy. But like, why don't we learn these lessons? Why don't we learn the lessons? You know what I mean? Are we just like, is it the fact that we're just like spending so much time on these devices now and our attention span is so short and so small that we don't have the ability to like look up and actually deploy a sense of awareness?
It's the human condition.
You know? It's
the human condition. And that's why I think the rich will continue to get richer, because I don't think Elon Musk treats his phone and social media the way that we do.
I don't think so either.
Right? That's an extreme example.
Yeah.
Extreme example. But as I've gotten more focused, I've moved away from like social media. I'm still on it and I still use it. But I find that I'm only doing it out of like this habit, because I've been doing it for the last 5-6 years. Like, I don't really want to open up Instagram and see what's on there. It's just
your brain.
You pause and you're like,
exactly.
Got nothing to do right now for these next 15 seconds. Instagram.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because this is something I'm very interested in. Which is a couple times today you've mentioned the word habits, right? Yeah. And so one of the biggest books that I really have fallen in love with is the one right behind you. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you read it?
No, I've not.
Okay, you got to check it out. I'm gonna get you a copy for you can have it. So he talks about the habits that we build are anchored through activities. So when we get a state of change, like we feel better, we feel happy, our brain puts a flag in that experience and then goes, what happened right before that? And that's the habit and the activity that we should start building, because we want the state change at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So when we sit, exactly. So when we're sitting here and we're bored, our brain is like, we're bored. What should we do? Let's feel good again. And instantaneously we reach for our phone and we pull this thing out. I can't tell you how many times I have subconsciously just like found myself just like woken up out of a daze and being like, where am I right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What am I doing?
And that's just like so dangerous. But you're right. The people who are the most successful are not wasting their time scrolling around looking at people who are at the club. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a big like mindset shift for me. It's like, if we want to be a part of the 1%, we have to do the activities that 99% of people aren't doing.
And that's the whole consuming more than create.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. So let's talk about that for a second. So as a successful YouTube channel owner is what I'll call you.
Getting more successful. I'm still a small fish, but
you're in the process.
It makes money.
So let's talk about the creating over consuming. What does that mean?
That means, if people don't know, it means that you are making more than you're consuming. So you're not on YouTube watching 10 hours of video and then spending 1 hour creating a video. You might watch one video. Maybe it's like learning how to make better intros, and then you watch that for 5-6 minutes, and then you go and spend 4 or 5 hours making that better intro and applying that. So, and I fall into that trap too, because it's very easy and it's very social media like, and like a dopamine hit to watch a bunch of YouTube videos because it feels good. And you also don't have to start that really mundane hard work that you have to do. So let me watch one more video to make sure I really understand what I want to do. And then It's got the thumbnails. Oh, that's an interesting title. Let me click that one. I might learn something from that. It's like this rabbit hole. That's why I created a trading course. Separate, as you can focus in on what you need to know. But it's just the attention span nowadays, and that's why the first 30 seconds of the video are so important, because most people fall off. And I just had my first video. It's always been like 65%. And I spent a little bit more time on what was going on in the intro, and I have like a 75% retention now, which is above average on that video. So this is applying and learning and like just trial and error and tweaking and like reading the information and then applying it to the next video. So now I know I need to spend more time on the intro and make it more captivating and engaging to keep people watching through the whole content.
Yeah, the iterative process is something that I really try and fall in love with, because it's like, if you're going to be as good as you want to be, you have to put in the time where you're bored and testing and trying and becoming better. And it's cool to kind of be able to see the metrics on the other side once you kind of put that work in, and you can track, oh, my retention rate went up by 10%, right? Yeah. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, in the first year, it's like nothing doesn't happen. That very small growth, and I'm still like small, but it's like I'm so happy I did all that stuff I did the last year, because now I'm monetized, and now instead of like trying to hit this target of got to get to this point so I can monetize, now it's just scaling and learning, and it's more fun in that, because I'm like, cool, I've proven that I can do it. Now I just have to keep on doing it. And I don't have to worry about, is this going to work or is this not going to work? Am I ever going to grow my channel? I already have. So I can just continue doing it now and find peace in that, and then focus that energy, not from worrying about an outcome that may or may not happen, that hasn't happened yet. Just focus on creating the outcome that I want.
Yeah. There was a guy I saw on Instagram the other day, and he was talking about, I had a conversation with Gary Vee, and Gary Vee was talking about consistency in creating content. And he was like, my only goal this year is to find 2 people that really rock with me. So next year they can bring 2 more people. And then those 2 people can bring 2 more people, and exponentially growing. He was like, if I were just to get 2 people per year, I want to say he was like, a decade from now, I'd have 2 million subscribers.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, whoa, I've never heard that perspective on like growth. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always like, I just need to blow up and become like viral and famous. But it's like, if you just stick consistently with it, 10 years from now, we could have 2 million followers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And you would have 1 million in less than that.
Yeah.
So I think I just saw someone was explaining, it's the 100-hour rule. If you spend 100 hours a year, which is 18 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day.
15 minutes a day in any discipline, that you will be better than 95% of people in that discipline over the entire world. Which makes sense. I mean, and
I feel like you've been able to like successfully kind of deploy that mindset towards trading, right? Towards being consistent. And that's very interesting, because I don't feel like a lot of people kind of vibe with that.
It gets to the point too where it's like, and I've thought about quitting before. There's been times in the past where I've been like, should I be spending so much time on this? But it's like, you have to be consistent. So if I quit this now because it's gotten hard, let's just say I'm not going to do something for 2 years and then quit that because it's gotten hard. So you have to like tough it out. And anyone that's toughed it out long enough gets the results. But you have to have quality in what you're doing. And I learned that from guitar playing, is I can play the same thing 15 minutes a day, but if I don't put quality behind the practice and try other things and push the envelope, then at the end of the year, I'm going to be able to do that one thing really well, but I'm not going to have like push myself. And I would find myself getting into ruts where I would be practicing the same thing, and I would literally be able to go, I don't think I'm getting any better at guitar. Got to pivot, got to find another way. What don't I know? I don't know how to do this technique. Let me practice this now. So I kind of apply that in trading. Like, all right, I've been doing this same strategy. What else can I like understand about what's another strategy? What's another like indicator I can like learn? How can I like make my understanding of this better so that I'm not just wasting my time staring at a screen going, think that might work. So it's really about like applying it, keeping notes, writing down what I'm doing.
Say the data and tracking is important.
I call it reverse engineering your trades. You won the trade. Why? You lost the trade. Why? You can't just go, I won. Yes. Let's go to the gym. I lost. I hate myself. Let's go to the gym. What happened? Why was it good? Why was it bad? And then replicate it if it was good, and then augment it if it was bad. And a lot of people don't spend that amount of time, and that's why they don't get better at anything, because you might trade every day, but you're just like throwing out trades and like, oh, I think AMD is going to go up. I think Boeing is going to go up. Buy. Oh, it didn't happen. Okay, I think NVIDIA is going to go up. But hold on. What about that Boeing trade? Oh, I didn't work. Well, why? Why didn't it work out?
Yeah. I mean, the understanding of what we're doing is super important. You know what I mean? I feel like so many of us are just looking for that fly by the seat of the pants kind of solution, right? But like, if you don't have the ability to replicate it, then what's the point of doing it in the first place?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So here's a question for you. I've always wanted to know, working at Tao. So give everybody a little understanding. Other than your trading, what other job do you have?
I work on the weekends at Tao Beach.
Okay.
Which is something, like I said, I was trading full time and surviving off of trading, but I got to the point where I couldn't feel like I could scale because it was like, got to pay the bills. And that's another psychological aspect. So it's always good to have multiple incomes when you're trading, so you don't have to just rely on it. And so I said, I'll go see if I can get hired. Got hired. And I do it because I can still wake up Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. and trade.
Yeah.
And then that's a good source of income, and that allows me to pay my bills. I have more money I can invest into myself, into trading, into businesses, whatever. It's just another income source. So,
what is it like working there?
It's it's fun. It's fun. It has its drawbacks and its cons. It's not something that I would want to go like a career into. But I enjoy it. I mean, I'm single currently right now. So I am around beautiful women, and I'm around a lot of rich people that come in that I talk to. How'd you people have a lot of money. Yeah. What do you do? How'd you get into that? What advice do you have for me? You're using this as almost like a data gathering process as well. I go where the money is. Yeah. So I'm learning. I try and learn from those people when I can. I mean, they're there to party and stuff, but a lot of them are successful in some avenue, especially when people are spending 50, 60, 70,000.
How much?
100,000 on a party, on a cabana on that day.
And that's something I feel like a lot of people don't recognize, is the amount of money that flows into these pools and into these clubs is insane.
And like I've seen a lot of rich people of late, like on podcasts and stuff, talk about how much money is out there. Yeah. And it's just every day there's people spending $10, $15, $20, $25,000 on bullshit. Yeah. On like just having fun. And this is every day, all over Vegas, Miami, New York. There's so much money out there. And it opens your eyes to, I don't have to just stay in this pocket, this like sphere of Vegas, and work these jobs on the strip that pay good. Yeah. And then that's it.
Where does your, did you have, like, I would say, good financial influences when you were growing up? Because I had somebody on the podcast the other day, Chase, and he was talking about the fact that we are never told about any type of like financial strategy, what a financial mechanism or an instrument is, or how to save, or what a credit card is. So like, what was your upbringing when it came to like understanding money?
Nothing. Yeah. I mean, my dad always, I mean, my dad was born in 1950, taught me to like save. And they always taught me credit's important. If my dad always told me, if you have good credit, you can do anything, you can buy anything. So he always kind of taught me to make sure that my credit was solid. Yeah, and it is. But just saving, I mean, nothing to do with like how to manage your finances effectively. I mean, my dad worked in the casinos. Parents, they ended up starting a dog training business. Okay. But this was just before I got into trading. So they kind of did the business thing. They sold it now, and my dad's retired. Oh, sick. Yeah. But before that, it was kind of like a paycheck to paycheck household. Yeah. In that sense. So I just kind of I learned it all on myself. In the streets. Yeah. Figuring it out. Listening to people who know about it, reading about it, and then obviously the stock market got me into finance, and I looked a lot into everything about the economy and like finances, and then I learn as I go. You know, now that I'm monetized on YouTube, you got to learn what that means and how taxes affect that. So it's all a process, and I think as you elevate your life, this is when you're forced to learn about it. If you never own a business, you're never gonna know about an LLC or an S corp and how that affects your taxes, unless you start a business and talk to tax people and figure out that this is the best thing I need to do to avoid taxes. You're just gonna file your W-2 tax form every year. Yeah. So I guess you can say we don't learn and we don't grow because we're never forced to, or never put in a situation where we have to. Did you have to break any type of, I would say, like mindset obstacles when it came to money as you kind of grew up? Because like, if most of people who are listening to the podcast, there's 60% of U.S. households that make over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck.
So that lifestyle in itself is very familiar to so many of us.
Yeah, it's I see people who potentially have the same finances that I have, and it seems like they are struggling and can't wait to get to their next paycheck. And I'm like, I don't know people's finances, but it's the way they spend. We do live in Vegas. A lot of people gamble, bet sports. I don't. I bet the Super Bowl, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like a few $100s.
Yeah. But technically, you're betting every single day.
Yeah, it's just stock market enough.
Yeah.
But you never know what people buy and what they spend it on. And yeah, I think you find out a lot of people like bet, and they bet big on sports like all the time. And I don't know, I'm just speculating, but you never know someone's finances and why. But it is interesting that so many people make a decent amount of money, but they still seem to struggle. And I think that comes down to money management, because if you're not investing what money you have into creating more money, you're going to be stuck at where you're at, because people never want to go backwards in their lifestyle. They want to maintain their lifestyle or increase it. And so if you increase it and you increase it too fast, it's probably what happens is you're making 50, 60,000. Now you're making 100, and
that lifestyle inflation. You
go from a $30,000 car to an $80,000 car or whatever. And so you inflate your lifestyle, and then now you can't keep up with it. And if your finances ever dwindle, now you're behind.
Yeah. And that's a scary place to be in, because I feel like what this is all rooted in is some sense of like insecurity in society, you know, especially growing up in different areas of the country. When I moved to Vegas in 2012, this place is a different beast. You know what I mean? Like there's so much going on and so many facades
and I grew
things
up
to
here,
manage.
So it's all I've known.
Yeah.
But you kind of have,
I've seen just like, it's different. Like people approach and prioritize different things, right? So while I was in Hawaii, right, you would never see people flexing, like buying Louis bags and stuff like that, because everybody's flex was being able to go to the beach. You know what I'm saying? That was like the cultural normative. But here, when you're in an environment where people are blowing 20, 50, 60, $70,000 in the club, you know what I mean? Naturally, by like osmosis, it's like, should I be doing that stuff? You know what I mean?
And these could be people that do that once a year, and they make good money in New York, and they never party like this in their home city, but on vacation they do. We only see people on vacation.
Yeah.
So, and I used to be like super flashy and all that. Like when I was 18, I wanted Gucci belts. Stupid. You know, driving around in a Dodge Caliber with a Gucci belt on. Idiot. You know, and now I could care less. I mean, I'd rather put that money to like stuff that can be useful, or like I can get joy from. Like I'll buy an expensive guitar. I get joy from it. So there's a use in that.
And it's like the older I get, the more I recognize, like from my perspective, like the real flex is having the ammo in the chamber and being able to go in on something rather than being like, oh man, I wish I could, but I bought that car, or I bought that Gucci belt.
I've always tried to live within my means, and I feel like that's a mindset that I've kept, is I'd never like overextend myself. And I think that comes from kind of my upbringing. Yeah. Because we were within our means for the most part. And I try and maintain that. So, and you want things, and I try and keep myself from.
That's a skill. That's a skill.
Yeah, it's hard. I still buy stuff. Go want that. I'm gonna get it. Yeah. But I never. I do the math, and I think about like, you know, if the worst case scenario, am I still gonna be fine? And if I can come to terms with that, then I'll make that decision.
Yeah. So what is something outside of finance, outside of trading, outside of the realm that everybody can see from like the social media perspective and knowing you as the homie? Like what is one thing that you're passionate about that a lot of people don't know about, or that we could kind of shine the light on here today?
Gosh.
Like what are you interested in these days? What's got your attention?
Right. It might sound like a cop-out answer, but like right now I'm super interested in like self-development more than I show. And I've made a lot of life changes in the past like 3 months. Yeah. Stuff that I've never done before.
What are these changes?
If like I'm going to be super transparent.
Yeah.
And I can say this too, if advice to anyone that is trying to level up. Yeah. If you're a man in your 20s and 30s, you're trying to grow a business, you're trying to move yourself up, you got to cut out porn, dating apps, Instagram models, and all that bullshit, chasing girls, which I did. I did that at a time too. I'm like looking at the camera, I'm talking. I'm serious. Cut it out. I did that at a time in my life. I used to go to Stoney's all the time. Like 5 years ago. Didn't have a lot of money. Chasing girls. Was successful. Got my reputation. But now it's who cares? Who cares?
That's so true.
And now, because I'm looking at my life, at the beginning of the year, and this wasn't like a New Year's resolution thing. It just kind of happened at that point.
Yeah.
Although January, I like to hit it hard.
Yeah.
But I was looking at my life. I'm like, okay, I have a business now. I have trading skills. I have multiple sources of income. Those are increasing. I want my life to be in this area. Like, I want to have this. I want to be successful. I want to have a wife that thinks I'm a rock star. I want to have kids. I want to be able to provide a life for them and myself. What do I have to do to get? That's what I want. All right. And I want to hit that $1 million mark, and then go from there. What do I have to do to get to that? I have to make real changes in my day-to-day life right now that are distracting me, like dating apps and all that stuff. I go talk to girls in real life now. Because I wasn't doing it before.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, I think there's a pandemic with this now, and why a lot of people are lazy is because you would rather go on a dating app on your couch and fulfill your natural instinct that way, which is not natural at all. You're going against nature when you do that. You're getting dopamine and a reward for not doing what you're supposed to, which is to go out and meet people in real life.
Yeah, dangerous.
You're distracting from that. You have so many convos you have to navigate. It's very easy. If we just get into like dating, it's very easy to talk to a few girls in real life, get their phone number, and then text them to plan dates. It doesn't take a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit there and like I'm getting ready to take a trade, and then I get a notification, and I'm like, ooh, this girl replied to me.
Yeah.
What do I say? 15 minutes ago, I missed a trade.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that could start to happen. And I got my notifications on silence. So I just started to notice these little things that I has to play other people. Playing video games, engaging in like this debauchery and all that bullshit. It was distracting me away from what my true goal was.
Yeah.
So I really have to take all that energy and like hunker down into figuring out what I need to do to get there and like scale what I already got. I started reading books now on various topics, which I used to not be a reader. And some people don't like to read, but you just learn so much I try and read for at least an hour a day.
Yeah.
Just to gain.
That's a great habit.
On business, YouTube, relationships, whatever, self-development, money, finances, because you're going to gain something from it.
Absolutely.
And that time is better spent doing stuff that's going to actually get you to where you want to go than engaging in all the debauchery and all the social media and all the distractions that life brings us. And a lot of people, I think, do that. And it took me a while to figure it out. And I was kind of on that path already, but like at the beginning of this year, I was like, if I keep doing the same thing,
You're gonna get the same results.
I'm not gonna have progress.
Yeah.
So I gotta change some things and like focus on like really being the best I can be. I already go to the gym 6 days a week. I've always done that. And
But because that's a habit that you've built.
It's a habit that I built.
You know what I mean?
I started boxing just for that builds character. Just what can I do to like elevate myself as a person that can like make my mind like be an iron mind and be impervious to what everyone else thinks. And I'm doing it for myself, and I'm doing it for my future.
Yeah.
So I say I'm working hard for my future kids and my future wife, whoever she is.
No, I love that. She's out here. You guys are out here because you're watching this someday. Your dad's doing a great job.
Maybe I've met you.
Maybe you met you by the time you can come back and watch this. I've gone through a lot of the same experiences at some point in time, and I feel like it's around like 30 when you're like, okay, I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Maturing probably.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, okay, like I need to really start focusing. And there's a famous saying that continues to play in my mind, and it's, men, first you defeat yourself, and next the world is yours.
Exactly.
And I was like, dude, that makes so much sense.
And I feel like I defeated myself. And I was talking to my buddy and like my dad, and I feel like I have been out of a haze now that I've been in the last 7 years. Like I feel like I've been like out of a daze and I'm like reborn. Yeah, I really do. And I hit rock bottom. The whole quitting the dopamine rushes.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
Side effects.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
I've always been optimistic, and I got depressed for like a week.
Okay.
Because I've looked up the science behind it. Because you're getting just dopamine deluge day after day after day, and I've always been able to just like stop things. Like I can just decide I don't want to do something, and I don't have a super addictive personality, thankfully. Once I decide to do it, I made a decision, and I haven't looked at any of that stuff since like January, and it's going strong. No idea to go back.
Good for you, man.
A few of my friends have done it with me, and they agree that it's life changing. But I got super like depressed. I was like a nihilist, and I'm Mr. Optimist. I thought life was pointless. I didn't open my computer for an entire week. which was like, and when I told my buddy that, he was like, what is going on with you?
Yeah. Because
it's just your dopamine and your serotonin are just like depleted, and you have to like rebuild. It takes time. It's funny because I was looking it up, and they said about the 5 to 6 week mark this happens, and that's when it happened for me.
Oh, wow.
Like right on. But after that, in the last like 2 months, I feel fantastic. I feel like better than ever because all of like my brain chemicals are activating for natural reasons. Dopamine. I'm getting it for real things that happen in real life, and it feels good.
Yeah.
And that's the arc of how it happens, and that's how I'm able to like stay focused. And now I want to continue that trend because I feel like I'm at my top. I feel like I'm at my best, and I want to like maintain that, and if not, get better.
I mean, it's like how many layers of validation and success can you stack? That's kind of where my mindset goes to when I'm tempted to do the things like watch porn or smoke weed or smoke these fucking puffy pens that are all over the place now. Like that's been a really tough one for me to kick.
Fucking vape.
Seriously, it's like we discovered those because all the homies had them. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden I had one, and then all of a sudden I was smoking one as I was like hanging out and working, and I was like, okay, Keenan, you are underestimating the small impact of today's actions on your long-term success. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like when I would hit that little puffy pen, I would instantaneously be like, okay. And this is what Andrew Huberman says. He's like, you get 2.5 times release from inhaling nicotine, and then your baseline comes down and you go underneath your baseline.
That's what I learned about with the porn thing. You go underneath the baseline.
And I was like, oh my God. So how many times you don't realize it because like we undervalue and underappreciate the effect of small actions now that have a huge impact on us later.
And you probably know where you want your life to be.
Yeah.
You know how to curate it there, at least subconsciously.
Yeah.
But because you're engaging in all these dopamine activities, you're not making any progress because you know the big dopamine hits after the hard work over there. But you're getting all these little ones right now that you're fine.
I know, and that's scary.
Interesting. It is scary.
I mean, so like this is the bigger problem that we're talking about today is like kind of the macro effects of all the kind of environments that we put ourselves in. But like at some point in time, that internal voice for me started being very, I don't want to say judgmental, but was like, there's a song by Big Sean. It's called Voices in My Head. I'm not sure if you've heard it. I'm going to send it to you after this.
I think so,
And he's like, I got a voice in my head that says, you knew better. I got a little voice in the back of my head that says that I should be doing better. And I'm like, okay, this is really relevant for me because it's like that voice in the back of my head, I like to call my better self. And when I do things that take me offline, I get so disappointed in myself. Do you know what I mean? And like that was the real influence that started kicking me down the path of being like, dude, if you want to accomplish the things you got to accomplish, you're wasting time right now, which was terrifying, but also very enlightening for me.
Go sit in silence and look in the mirror and go, where are you going?
That's a scary.
Where are you going?
That's scary, man.
Right? Yeah. What are you doing? Why are you not where you want to be? Why aren't you trying to get to where you want to be? What the fuck? You know, this is like what you have with yourself when you like hit that realization point where it's like, where am I going? Do I really think I can get there? Am I sabotaging myself by not doing what I'm supposed to be doing today at this hour? I think some self-sabotage comes into place because you feel like you're not worthy of that because it's just you've built it up in your mind because you've consumed more than you created. Yeah. So now you have the fantasy of it. You've seen the guy with 1 million subscribers tell you what to do, and you go, "Cool, I'm gonna do that." And you're like, "God, 1 million subscribers? Can I even get to that?" And that's where you just have to like go, "I don't care. I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna put out a video every day. You're gonna hit 1 million? I don't care. I'm not worried about if I'm gonna hit 1 million. I'm gonna make a video today, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a trade today. I'm gonna keep scaling it up. That's the only thing you can do. Yeah. Because I have friends that have told me like they want to start businesses, they want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, what do you want to do? I want to do this. Like, okay. Like I want to have a website that sells this. Okay. Why don't you have a website that sells that yet? Yeah. Oh well, because and then excuses come in, and I'm like, I learned this from Andrew Tate. Relationships aside, great business advice just to like hit in your head. You already know what you need to do. You're just lazy. I told him, you just told me you want to have a website that sells this product and you don't have it because you're being lazy. Yeah. I didn't put out a video this week because I'm being lazy. I could have. Right. no one's holding a gun to my head saying don't do it. You could have. There's a lot of things you could have done. You're just lazy. You know what you need to do. You know how to scale your podcast, and you know how to scale your product and what you're doing. You know exactly what you need to do. I do too. We all do. We're just not applying it in the right way, and you have to sort of get granular and identify. It's like, what is stopping? It's like a vice. It's like we all have that addiction to inaction. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was naturally going there and like listening to that little internal voice that's like, we can start tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, how many times can you listen to that little voice?
So much time in the world.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to make it by the end of the year. You don't need to make it by next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very interesting. There's a book. It's called, I think it's up there somewhere. It's called The Untethered Soul. Okay. And so this book was very interesting because it talks about the relationship that we have with our internal voice. And they say, if you can hear your internal voice, then you are technically an observer of that voice. So we take that internal voice as being us. You know what I'm saying? It speaks to us like, you can just start tomorrow. We don't have to do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who is that voice inside of us and who are we observing?
It's weird. I can hear the voice too.
You know what I mean?
I can think about when I'm sitting at my computer and I'm like, it's like telling me, all right, do it tomorrow.
Yeah. So the book does an amazing job at like reframing that voice. It uses the analogies like, let's take us through an exercise. Imagine that internal voice is a roommate that you live with. And everything that they say, they're actually saying out loud. So let's put you guys in a scenario. You guys are sitting down on a Saturday night. You're going to watch a movie together. Your voice is sitting right next to you. You turn on Netflix. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, isn't that one car that I saw in that little commercial earlier today? Or wasn't that on Instagram? And you're like, all right, be quiet. I'm just trying to pick a movie. You pick a movie and then it starts. And you're like, dude, did I put the laundry away today? Or did I make sure that I did all this kind of stuff? It's like, bro, that voice is so annoying. And when you think about it as being inaccurate as it is, would you ever take advice from that roommate?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. But it's almost like they've spent so much time with us that they're behind our defense walls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like their proximity is so close to us that we started to recognize it as ourselves, but it's not us. And that in itself was a big reframe for me because I was like, the internal voice that tells me I'm not good enough. The one that tells me that I should go smoke that little puffy pen. The one that tells me that I can take the day off. The one that says don't wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. That voice is a previous version or a buddy of the previous version of me, and I have to let that dude go if I'm going to be able to get to the next spot.
Yeah, I know two guys that are like entrepreneur mindset. They live together, and one of them is like really goes to the gym all the time. And the other one isn't so big on that, but when he goes to the gym, the guy's like, okay, I gotta go to the gym because he went to the gym.
Yeah.
So it's like the opposite effect. It's like encouraging each other.
Yeah.
Because if you have like a roommate with another guy and you're pushing each other and he's like, hey, we're going to the gym, let's go. And you're just like on the couch, you're like, I gotta get up now.
Yeah.
But if you were by yourself, you might not get up.
Yeah.
And you're always with yourself. And that voice, you are with yourself with that voice. So like you said, you have to be able to self-govern and self-initiate. That
little, it's just kind of like reframing the relationship, right? I think it's just so important to recognize the importance of doing that. Because
it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you are in complete control. And I think as I started to get older, like that sense of accountability is something that I really love to like revel in. So it's a great example. Something didn't go good in a business meeting. Okay. Yeah, I can blame someone else, or I can take ultimate accountability and be like, oh, well, maybe we should have done this better, or maybe we could have done that. And when you start viewing everything through that lens, you become so much more powerful. It's like, dude, this is all on me. You know what I mean?
So we learned that in trading. So another interesting topic from that book by Mark Douglas, and this comes from our childhood, is when you are little, and I saw this happen in Target yesterday, which is funny, but when you're little, say you're a kid, you're learning, and you have a favorite toy, and your mom takes your toy away from you, and you start crying. I saw a kid yesterday crying as I took him out of Target because he couldn't get the toy. Yeah. Same thing. And so you're taught at a young age that the source of your external pain is not your fault. It's an external force. Or the source of your pain is from an external force.
Oh, okay.
You wanted a toy. It's not your fault. You don't have it. Something else took it from you.
Oh, wow.
And we're taught that time and time again. That's why in trading, when you take a loss, a lot of people, it's the market. The news, Putin invaded Ukraine. That's why I lost.
Fox News.
Yeah, no. It's like, and you can't take accountability for yourself. That's why people that are extremely smart and professional, when they retire from being doctors and engineers, is that they struggle with trading because it's a psychological aspect. I knew two people that never knew each other, one in real life, one from online, and they both came to me and said, never met before, they think their broker is trying to make sure they lose money I feel like someone at my broker is making sure I don't make money. I'm like, dude, they don't care about your $30,000 account. They got billions of dollars that are moving around. Like, I told them, I'm sorry to be mean, but you're not important enough.
Yeah. Sorry, Steve.
Sorry, Steve. You're not important enough for them to care about that. But that confirms the mindset that it wasn't them making bad trades and making bad decisions and not saying, okay, how can I be better? I'm screwing up. How can I take this upon myself in this board meeting? It was, my broker's the reason I'm losing money. No, you lost money because you bet the Eagles when you should have bet the Chiefs.
Yeah, 100%. That's right. You know, one of the things I think about is like Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about this. He's like, it's not the market that's making the decisions against you. It's the fact that, very bluntly, you probably suck at what you do. You know what I mean? It's like, if you were as good as you said you were, then you would be successful putting out content, doing all the other kind of stuff. And it's just very interesting to kind of like root yourself in that experience of like, okay, obviously I'm not that good at this because things aren't handed to us. We're not getting 8th place or 16th place trophies here. So,
and everyone sucks in the beginning. Yeah. You gotta continue sucking until you don't suck, unless you just really cannot figure it out, and then you can pivot. But that's the consistency of it. No one comes in like Gary Vaynerchuk wasn't Gary Vaynerchuk on day one. Very true. He became Gary Vaynerchuk. Alex Hormozi became him through all the learning.
One of my favorite sayings of Alex, and this is kind of what we'll wrap it up today, is do so much work that it would be unreasonable that you would not be successful. You know what I mean? And like, if you just kind of digest that saying, it's like, you want to get better at shooting free throws? Go shoot so many free throws that it's unreasonable that you wouldn't be good. You want to become a better trader? Spend so much time looking at charts, reviewing, trading in paper, and becoming a better trader that it's unreasonable that you wouldn't be good.
Exactly. And you're in competition with everybody. And the guys at the top, like Hormozi and Tom Brady and Grant Cardone, you're not going to knock them off. They're already so way up there. But we're all in competition with each other. Yep. And now, if you're in competition with me, and I'm waking up before you, I'm reading more than you, I'm getting smarter, I'm adding more income sources, I'm figuring it out. You're in competition with me. So if you're going to beat yourself out, you got to beat me out first because I'm ahead of you. And there's someone else that's doing better than I am. Find out who it is. Yeah. I'm going to replicate that because they're being more efficient than I am, and I got to figure out what they're doing so I can add it into my repertoire. But you're in competition with everyone, and we view it that way because we're a competitive species. You're in competition with yourself first, and then you're in competition with everyone else. Because look at it this way. You're doing what you're doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. Let's say you're making content. There's another person out there that's making more content than you, making more videos, and the algorithms is picking him up, and he's getting more known than you are, and he's getting to his goals quicker than you are because he's doing more. Preach. So you got to start doing more. And that's what I wake up and I try to remind myself. That's why habits, make the bed. Why make your bed? Because if you can't do a 10-second task in the morning, you skip that because it's easy to skip, you're not going to be able to complete the task for the rest of the day and the big ones because you're already training your subconscious mind to negate doing the very small things. So that's why I've changed these very small things. Cold shower. You don't have to do the cold shower if you don't want to, but it's the mental fortitude. I'm going to sit there when it sucks, and I feel good after, and it wakes me up. Push-ups, sit-ups, make the bed, coffee, sit down, trade, ready to go. And I feel like I've been a lot more focused and effective since I've integrated these habits into my daily routine.
Because like you said, you're reverse engineering the outcome. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's where I want to go. Okay, what do I got to do to get there?
Exactly.
Got to start with the small stuff and the big stuff, and got to get real and intentional with what you want to do, because the people that have made it have given us the clues and the tools, and I'm pretty sure
leaves clues.
I'm sure everything we're saying has been echoed in other podcasts from people that are more famous and more successful. But you have to apply it. You got to take it and you got to apply it to your life. And you can't say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. No, do it right now. And this is why, I love being able to host the podcast, because it gives people an insight into where we are in the process of building. Do you know what I'm saying? You always see the end result. This is what I'm doing now. This is my mindset as somebody who is starting to kind of make it and get up there. And I've proven to myself I can make money. And now I know I can scale it. And this is my mindset I'm deploying to get to where I want to go and past that.
Well, cheers to you, man. I appreciate the time that we spent together, and I appreciate you emphasizing why it's so important to, embrace the suck, the boring work.
Embrace the suck,
because it really does make a difference at the end of the day. Is there anything that you want to close with today?
Learn to enjoy the process. Learn to enjoy the suck, and find your dopamine hits and the things that you need to find fulfillment from the hard work. And that's the only way that you can outcompete yourself and outcompete everyone else.
That's right.
But it's good. It's a good podcast. I learned some new things, get some good insight.
Yeah,
I feel like we're in the same headspace, though. So
absolutely. It's good to be able to document it as well.
It is, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, one thing I think about from a podcasting perspective is this is going to be something that will be left in time, right? YouTube is not going away anytime soon.
No.
So giving ourselves the ability to kind of capture these moments and being able to look back at where we were is the entire experience, because the goals in themselves are very rewarding, and I love crossing a finish line, but I realize that I spend a shit ton more time in the process of chasing that finish line. And if I don't appreciate the actual race in itself, then I've, losing 99.9% of the entire process.
And when I get discouraged, I look back and I'm like, fuck, I've come a pretty far away already. So it's and I can revel in that, and I can find peace in that. I've done a lot so far.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not where I want to be, I'm way closer to it than I was a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm chasing is the completion.
Dog, catch us when we're 40 years old. Do you know what I'm saying? We'll look back on these times, because I think about myself from the gap of 26 to 30. There was so much change that happened in that time, and then 30 to 32 is also so different. And so it's how many skills am I going to be able to stack, and experiences can I stack? By the time I'm turning 40, it's going to be a completely different game.
My dad told me at 30, he goes, you have all the options in the world. You can do anything. You go be a pilot in the military still.
Yeah.
You can go do anything. Go to college, whatever. And at 40, your options start to dwindle. And at 50, then they really start to dwindle, because right now you can literally do whatever you want. So we have to use our time, because you close your eyes and you're 35 and you're really good at Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Cool.
Couldn't even imagine, dog.
Yeah.
Couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. So it's exciting, but it gives us value, and it gives us purpose and something to work for. But I gotta remind myself every day that I gotta have intention with what I'm doing. I can't just make a video. I gotta make good videos. If you make a video, but if it sucks, Gary Vaynerchuk, you just suck.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to have intention behind what you're doing, so that you can grow and increase.
I appreciate it. Well, thanks for the time today.
All right, yeah,
I appreciate you.
absolutely.
That was good.